a short and sweet session for you today. We want to open the floor up to you and make sure that you are in the best place possible, have all your questions answered as we move forward into the most generous time of the year. Again, I cannot believe how quickly we've made it to year end. And as you know, here at Donorbox, we love sharing practical, actionable learning resources to keep you on top of all that's going on in our rapidly growing nonprofit sector. And through these 30-minute sessions, we truly hope that we've equipped you with the tools and confidence that you need to take your year-end fundraising and fundraising in general to the next level. So today, we'll do a quick review of what we covered. We're going to keep it super speedy for you. And then we're going to go ahead and open up the floor to you so that you can ask us anything. And then remind you of some ways that you can stay connected with us, though we're not having these live sessions every Tuesday, how you can stay connected to our learning resources and everything that we've got to offer. So are you ready to get started? Let's go.
Let's do it.
Cool. Kara, I'll let you take this away.
Well, here is our checklist of what we've covered, and I know several of you have attended most of these, so you should be very proud of what you've done. And I think when you look at this list, I think you will be. So we started out with why planning is important. Then we worked through creating your case for support, which is a way that you can uniquely tell others why you do what you do and what makes you unique. We walked through some important KPIs and benchmarks. And then we talked through what's in your Donorbox fundraising toolkit. What are the tools that you have available to you to use, especially this time of year? We spent a little bit of time talking about, is direct mail dead? And a spoiler alert, it is not. We have many of you that are currently using direct mail campaigns, and I hope that they're doing well for you. Then in September and October, we talked through appeal writing tips. And then some tips for donor acquisition, and it's all about relationships as a reminder there. We talked through the cycle of fundraising to help make the ask easy. As a quick reminder, if you spend a lot of time thanking and showing impact and involving others in your organization, that ask is going to be extra easy when the time comes. We talked through some ways to make your fundraising page shine and making sure that your tech is ready to process donations behind the scenes. And then we wrapped it up with some tips on email and social media fundraising. We had an extra long session on special session on Giving Tuesday. And then last week we wrapped things up with a year-end fundraising for the procrastinator. So some must-dos this time of year. Thank you for going through that ride with us. It was a lot of fun, a lot of material covered, and a lot of interaction from you all. So
yep.
I hope that you learned something about there, and maybe those topics will inspire some questions in this session as well.
With all of this that Kara just reviewed for us, wow, that was a lot of content, absolutely. So we want to do another temperature check. We asked this poll question for all of you at the beginning of the sessions that we started all the way back in August. So we're going to go ahead and launch this poll now to see how you're feeling now that we've made it through some of the weeks. And there's no wrong answer. These are anonymous. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the link or the poll. Awesome.
And if you remember, we did ask this question early on in this series too, and it was very, very heavy on D, I'm not ready at all, and C, I still have a lot of work to do, and this is heavier on the other end. I'm ready and almost, but not quite. So I'm glad to see that there's been some progress here. Yeah. For those of you who answered, I'm not ready at all, and I still have a lot of work to do, please put your questions in the chat, and Kara with a K will be marking those on the back end. And so, we want to make sure that you're in a great spot these next few weeks. Yeah. We don't want to leave you hanging.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling so ready, you've got everything down pat, you had an amazing Giving Tuesday, you're ready to have an amazing year-end fundraising campaign. Maybe if you don't have a question, share with us what you did for your campaign in the chat, and we can spotlight that, share it with others, help inspire others, lead by example there. So we're more than happy to see those as well. Well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and open the floor up to you. Please drop your questions into the chat. And we'll take a look at those as well. All right, Kara, let's see. Well, we had an anonymous question, and Kara, I think this one was for you. How can I make a compelling appeal for general operations support? That was a big question and kind of a challenging one.
It is. And to explain that question a little bit, so this person is asking, how can I raise money at year end or throughout my, my year campaign for general operating support? And I think the reason they ask this question is that it's oftentimes really a lot easier to raise money around a program, to raise money around a vision, and to be able to communicate that specifically. Sometimes it's really hard to engage donors around, we need to keep the lights on and keep the staff paid. So I think that's why this person asked this question. And I actually had a meeting with a friend who runs a nonprofit organization over the weekend, and they were talking about the same thing. And we kind of talked through some fun ideas. And I think what this particular organization is going to do is identify some very loyal donors who they know the staff really well, that they know how important it is to, have a facility to run things, and can see the value in having a good database and a good, to have money to keep the lights on. And they're going to reach out to those donors in particular and make that case for support and create almost a mini fundraising campaign for that. So they're going to figure out how much they need and how much that they, over 5 years, what that might look like. And what they were thinking it looks like is about $2 million over 5 years. So they're going to identify some donors, try to match an ask amount to the donor that seems appropriate, and try to build up that campaign over the course of 5 years. So that is one way to approach it. And if if that's confusing to anyone or need clarification on that, let me know. But I think some intentional asks about operational support and understanding the role that plays in your organization is always a good idea.
Thanks for that, Kara. And I know that everybody needs money for operations, right? So I think that this is a good thing to learn from. All right, moving right along. We have another question. What can I do to encourage board participation in fundraising if they haven't been super responsive in the past? And I always get really excited about questions about board because they should be fundraising for you. There's a couple of parts to this. So one, if you've asked them in the past, they haven't been super responsive, evaluate. How did you ask them? What information did you give them first? Were you clear in that ask? And even just like you would for your donors, you can send out a survey to your board and ask them how they would like their experience to be or what their roadblocks are. It may be that they're intimidated by fundraising. They don't know how, right? We are trained fundraisers, or we've learned, we've been doing this for years, but board members might have never fundraised before ever, right? So there might be some roadblocks there. So start with asking why and evaluating what your ask looks like, and even coming to them and asking, why has this not been? And kind of adjust from there. But I will always say, if you want your board to fundraise, peer-to-peer fundraising is such a great way to get your board on board. And if you've been to all these sessions, you've heard me spiel on and on about it. This is how you create a campaign, and they create little campaigns off of your main campaign. And they just fundraise, they share that link, they share it with their friends and family. Maybe they host a game night and they say, all right, to come to my game night, it's a $15 donation admission to my game night, or whatever that may be. Provide them with creative ideas. We have tons of blogs in our nonprofit blog, which we'll share during this session as well, to inspire you to inspire them. If peer-to-peer seems like too much to set up, create a crowdfunding page just for your board. So have that be your crowdfunding page and share that link with them. Make sure they have it in their email signatures and make it as easy for them as possible. Your board should be fundraising for you. There should not be any roadblocks. So do your due diligence there, and hopefully that'll be a success. So we have here, we have a comment here. We didn't do as well for Giving Tuesday as last year. Not sure why. And I think there's been a lot of speculation about this from a lot of organizations, and it's hard to say overall. I mean, of course, there's a recession and all of that, but take a look, pull your reports, right? See, okay, maybe last year you had more donors, but they were donating less, or this year you had less donors, but they were donating more. We saw from our organizations that less donors donated, but they donated a much larger amount. So it's all about kind of looking back at what you did last year, what you did this year, pulling those reports. We're such data nerds, Kara and I, and seeing if there's anything that's really clear that may need to be changed for next year. But Kara, I'm sure you have something to add to this. I think it's just, it depends on the economy too, and all these factors that we don't always have control over, and that's okay. The most generous days of the year are coming the last 2 days of the year. So if you didn't do great on Giving Tuesday, or if you didn't do as well as you wanted to, that's okay.
Yeah. And I'm seeing that almost, epidemically, that especially smaller organizations did not have a great Giving Tuesday this year. And I think there's a couple reasons. There's more organizations, obviously, using Giving Tuesday as an opportunity to have a conversation. So I know my email inbox had about 40 emails throughout the day from different organizations. And I imagine most people's inboxes looked like that as well. So, compare your email communication last year to email communication this year. Look at quantity, look at subject lines, look at open rates, see which performed better. Go back to relationships. Were there opportunities to connect with people before Giving Tuesday to plant the idea in their head that maybe could be improved upon, and definitely improved upon in the next couple weeks? And I think larger organizations, squished out a lot of smaller organizations this year. And there's some chatter on LinkedIn that is Giving Tuesday really all that it's cracked up to be. And so that's one of the reasons that we created this series for you too, because we know it's not all about Giving Tuesday, and we want to just kind of reinforce that. It's about that whole giving season. So November 1st to December 31st, and knowing that the biggest giving days in the season are yet to come, and really doing your best to communicate that. I've been doing a little research on what is working well right now, and it is phone calls to prepare people to receive a fundraising communication piece, whether that's a direct mail or an email or a postcard or whatever it is, but to call your most loyal supporters, so the ones that have supported you, your top 25, top 50, top 100, however many you can get in, to say, hey, most of the time you'll probably leave a voicemail, but have maybe 2 scripts, one for if they answer and one for if you're leaving a voicemail, and say, thank you so much for your support over the past few years. Because you gave, this happened. In the next few days in your mailbox, you'll be seeing a letter from us. I hope you, take the opportunity to open it and respond. And, the organization can really count on your support this year. If you're sending an email communication, make sure that your subject line really stands out, and make sure that your call to action is very clear. Do not ask them to volunteer and fill out a survey and give money. They will volunteer and fill out the survey and not give money. So if you want them to give money, make sure that's the only call to action in your email communication between now and the end of the year. That's my 2 cents. I'm sorry, Ellen. That's not, I hope that answered your question a little bit. Jennings said that they had 1 donation on Giving Tuesday, but the whole week went well. I talked to one of our organizations in our Donorbox Academy courses. We have some on-demand courses that involve some office hours, so they can pop in, ask questions, that kind of thing. And one of our organizations that was in there yesterday said that they had their open rate on Giving Tuesday was miserable. They sent the same email correspondence on Thursday, and their open rates went through the air. So communicating before and after Giving Tuesday might also be an approach.
Wonderful. Excellent. And we have a comment from Peggy in the chat that I want to take a second and celebrate. So Peggy says, this was the first year the organization I work for did a focused and purposeful campaign for Giving Tuesday. My executive director was very excited to see how actually planning and having a calendar of letters and emails and social media posts made a difference. The organization had not put any effort into Giving Tuesday in the past. And Peggy learned from these sessions and took those materials to make planning manageable. And last year they went from no gifts to $8,000 this year. So that is amazing, Peggy. So excited for you. Amazing work. That is something to celebrate for sure. Love that. Excellent. All right, let's see here. Fidel asks, what are some good ideas for fundraising campaigns for an organization? There are so many ideas. It depends on where your organization is in its journey, if you've began to fundraise before, if this is your first campaign. So what I want to do is reach out to you directly, and I'll share our nonprofit blog and some great getting started guides. Share some basic fundraising campaigns, talk about whether or not you have a donor box form, so you're making it accessible for your site visitors to donate. So I've got your contact info here, and we'll also be sharing the nonprofit blog during this session. So click that link once I share it. Favorite it to your bookmarks bar. We have a search bar. You can just type in whatever you're thinking, how to fundraise, fundraising campaign ideas, and really there's so much great stuff in there. We could really get into the weeds. This is a big question, and it really depends on on your organization and where you are in your journey.
And Fidel, and I'm going to say, I'm probably not going to say this name correctly, but Masarika had a very similar question. So what are some good ways to get donations? What are good examples of campaigns? One thing that I did when I was especially just starting out is I personally made smaller donations to some organizations that I admire who are doing fundraising really well. And I took note and kept samples of the mailings that they sent me, the emails that they sent me to follow up. And I modeled a lot of my own behavior after what is working well for these organizations. Yes. You have larger organizations, some national, especially in the US, national organizations who are raising a lot of money and doing a really great job. They have massive development teams. They have communications departments. They've put a ton of money into professional development and knowing what works. And you're kind of gleaning the fruit from all those efforts when you look at what they've done. Please do not copy their wording and things like that. But I'm talking strategy. It's a good way to learn strategy and see how quickly they say thank you when you make a donation, and try to beat it. Try to go faster than they do. And so just really taking a good approach there, asking your friends and family, when you receive a piece from an organization that you admire, to say, what stands out to you about this, and kind of have a conversation about it. And if you're in the same geographic location, let's say there's a nonprofit or maybe a hospital foundation or something who in your area, in your neighborhood, who's doing a really great job of raising money, reach out to their development department and their fundraisers and ask to treat them to a cup of coffee and say, how do for type of mentorship conversation. So what did you do? How did you learn this? Where do you go to learn more? And I think growing some conversations and starting some things there that you might learn and glean a lot from the research that they've done too.
I love that. And Michelle said, I did the immediate thank yous and received several donations after. I think people are busy with the holidays working. So it's just a gentle reminder to those who wanted to donate but forgot. Yep, absolutely, yeah. Michelle.
I like that.
Thank you for sharing.
We have one Donorbox organization, the Pittsburgh Kids Foundation, and I asked them earlier this year what their Giving Tuesday plans are. They have a thank-a-thon. It's purely a thank you to the donors who've given this year, and their big fundraiser is in October before Giving Tuesday, and that's worked really well for them. So I think, Michelle, I think like you said, it's busy. It's a busy season. It's a lot of communications going into people's inboxes and mailboxes, and yeah, that might be an approach that works really well for all of you next year
Absolutely.
too. You never know.
And even thinking about my own inbox, starting on the Friday after Thanksgiving, I was getting emails from every single retail store that I've ever bought something for. And then Cyber Monday was a whole big thing. I had hundreds of emails when I opened my
Yep.
inbox on Monday, and it took me a while to sort through them. So sending that after that busy time, they may have just missed it. They might have been deleting so many different emails and putting them, just to clear their inbox. And you may have accidentally ended up in that. So I like the idea of, checking in after this time as well. All right, we've got a few more in here, I think, Kara. A really great question.
Idrissa,
oh yeah, go.
Oh yeah, Idrissa asks, and we get this one a lot at Donorbox. I'm a startup organization. How can Donorbox help us acquire funds to help people? The best way that you are going to raise money is to work from the inside out. So who are the people that see your mission in action? Who are your volunteers? Who are your board members? Ask them to donate, and then ask them who they know who might also be interested, and ask those people to come and see your organization at work and really involve them. And then when you ask them for money, be sure you're thanking them and showing them the impact of your work. I wish I had like a big bucket of donors that I could say, yeah, call that person and call that person. But unfortunately, that's not how fundraising works. And just because somebody has money doesn't mean they're going to donate to your organization. You need to make sure that they're linked to your organization, that they have interest in your organization, and that's where you're going to find your success. And then you're going to start small and grow outward.
Yep. Absolutely. And specific to Donorbox, what we do is not connect you with those donors, but connect you with the tools so that you can connect with those donors. So with a great fundraising donation form, all the fundraising tools like peer-to-peer, crowdfunding, text to give memberships. So this is a platform for you to make it easy for people to donate to you. So a kind of a great pairing there. All right. We have this question. Is there a rule of thumb regarding a crowdfunding goal amount for year end, considering the time frame, donor base, and what's reasonable and attainable? Is there a magic formula that we can use to set the right goal? And that is a great question. Kara, I'm going to defer to you to see if you've got any insights here, and then I'll add my input as well.
When you're setting your goal, first, I would say take a look at your results from previous years, and do you need to stretch it a little bit? Do you think it's reasonable to do that? And then take a look at the size of your donor base. We actually, and maybe Kara can put it in the chat, or I can here in a second. We have a tool, an online tool for you to use. It's called a gift range calculator. You can play with it and say, I have 3 donors that might make a donation at this amount. I have 10 donors that might make a donation at this amount. And you can kind of check that goal and say, I can raise $10,000. No, I can't raise $1.5 million right now, but I can raise 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000 or whatever. And you can kind of check that goal. Also, if you have a big milestone, let's say it's your organization's 10th anniversary, you want to raise $10,000. That might make sense. Or you have a project or a program that has a certain price tag associated to it. So I know I want to provide 100 meals on December 24th, and those 100 meals are going to cost $1,000. Maybe my campaign's $1,000 to cover that expense, and people really resonate about that. So those are some things to think about there. If Kara can't find that link for you, I will definitely put it in the chat for you as well.
Just drop it in there.
But it's a fun little calculator to play with. So I'll pull that
Wonderful. And it's right there in the chat. Kara dropped it.
Oh, it is. Okay, super.
And you stole the words right out of my mouth, Kara. That was perfect. So I had nothing to add. That was a great question, though. It's really important to set attainable goals or goals that make sense for your campaign. but you can always adjust them, especially in Donorbox. You can adjust that campaign goal. So if you've already made it to 1, you can up it if you want to. If you have not already, we really encourage you to sign up for Donorbox Academy to stay up to date on our latest courses. If you're not familiar with Donorbox Academy, Kara here kind of heads up this initiative. It is our learning ecosystem. You'll find everything from courses on your year-end campaign to writing compelling asks, and a lot of great things to come. So you can sign up to Donorbox Academy and you can get updates on all that is to come. So you can also listen to bite-sized weekly podcast episodes on the Nonprofit Podcast for practical, actionable learning advice, similar to what you've received here during our giving season sessions, just in audio form. And this will really help take your nonprofit to the next level. So I know we're rapid link sharing right now. We encourage you to listen to any of your favorite on any of your favorite platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. I think I'm missing something, Kara, but you can even type the Nonprofit Podcast into Google and it will guide you in the right direction. So great short episodes, always less than 20 minutes, and just giving you one task to work on every week. We've also got our brand new Donorbox library. So these are free nonprofit resources, templates, really great downloadables for you. So if you're looking for a template for something, Karen, you may be able to give some good examples of what we've got in there. The Donorbox library is a great place for you, and that will only continue to grow as well.
Absolutely. There's all kinds of checklists and templates. There's a thank you letter template to get you started on writing a great thank you letter to retain your year-end donors. So be sure to grab that. There's all kinds of fun things. And there's more calculators like the one we shared earlier. Yeah. And if there's something that's not there that you would enjoy seeing, please email us at academy@donorbox.org. We work hard to create material that you enjoy.
Excellent. Thank you. Just a couple more for you. As promised, our Donorbox nonprofit blog. We have new articles weekly. We have an amazing editorial team and freelance writers that create great content specifically for you. Our Donorbox nonprofit blog has hundreds of articles, I would say, on everything you can think of, from fundraising, how to start a nonprofit, marketing, social media marketing, donor engagement, you name it, it's in there. Just use the search bar and you'll likely find something that you're looking for. So the Donorbox nonprofit blog is a great place to be. And one more for you all before we log off for the afternoon. Donorbox is also on YouTube. On YouTube, you will find the recordings of many of our previous webinars. We've got great Donorbox tutorials on here, inspirational spotlights, a lot of best practice videos and pro tips for fundraising and donation pages. So you can favorite this in your bookmarks bar as well. So that is our YouTube channel. All right, that is it, everyone. We want to thank you so much again for joining us week after week. We are here for you and we are cheering you on. We so appreciate all that you do to serve others, and we're looking forward to joining together soon. So thanks, everyone.